Course it is. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Coach Vic. It is noon exactly. I timed that just right. And today, I'm going to talk to you about scaling your land investing business. Now, this all came about because I've actually been having conversations with people recently that they're like, yeah, I've done the land investing thing and I'm doing the small deals and it's okay. And I don't know if I want to stay because it's not enough money for me. And the first thing I say is, yeah, I get it. If you guys know my story by now, you know that I quit in 2018 or so. Yeah, I quit in 2018 land investing because I felt the money wasn't there. I like this is okay if you want a little side change here and there, but this ain't going to be enough to feed myself. This isn't going to be enough to pay my mortgage. This isn't going to be enough to do something big. How little did I know? How wrong was I back then? Now, before I get into any more, as always, everything always changes technology wise. So let me know if you can see me, you can hear me okay. I'm just going to check real quick. I always see things late compared to everybody else. But if everything is good, we're going to rock and roll and we're going to get this bad boy going. All right. Sounds good? Perfect. So this is what I want you guys to do. Be ready to take notes even if you're not actually doing the land investing thing full time yet and you're just learning, let's actually look to see how we're going to actually take steps to get to the next level. If we only think about what's in front of us, that's okay to keep your focus, but that's not going to be okay long term. How do I know? Well, we're going to talk about that today. You don't become a certified land investor by playing in the kiddie pool the whole time. You gotta kind of venture out, get away from the sides of the pool, start trusting your strokes, start trusting your swimming lessons, and get out to the deep end. That's where all the fun is. All right. So so think about this logically. You're in land investing. You're making a little bit of money. You made a couple of $1,000s here, a couple of $1,000s here. You're excited that, hey, this thing actually works. I can actually turn a little bit of money to more money, but maybe things aren't happening as fast as you would like. Or maybe it is a little bit more effort than you would like. You saw in the beginning, you didn't mind the effort, but now that you're getting a little better, you want things to be easier. And now let's just say you want to pay for a wedding. Let's say you want to put a down payment down on a house. Let's say, God forbid, you have an unexpected financial or medical emergency that you got to pay for. What are you going to do? Now, I'm going to share with you what I went through because you guys know my story, right? You know how I quit. Now, as I said earlier in the intro, I quit because I didn't think there was enough money. And when that happened, I got shiny object syndrome and then affiliate marketers and the drop shippers and all that other bullshit caught my eye. I'm like, ooh, I can make a lot more money. And it seems like I wouldn't work as much. Wrong, wrong. I understand that now. Now, I'm not saying that drop shipping or affiliate marketing or anything else isn't, something you can make money in, but for me personally, I it was hard to stay excited about that stuff. Now, taking those skills and applying it to land can work, and that's something we will talk about. But here's the thing. I want you to put yourself in that mind. You actually might be in this position right now where you do need to figure out how do you make more and you are doing something. Well, today, don't worry, I got three different things I'm going to show you. Three different steps I went through to scale my business. Now, when I first started, making a couple of $1,000s a month was cool. Making a couple, that was fine. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. I was more than I wanted to, but it was cool. But I realized when I jumped back into land investing, even though I was excited, I was making money and I started to develop my escape velocity strategy. I was like, right now I'm kind of treading water. So I'm not drowning anymore. I feel good that I'm now contributing to the household once again. I feel good I'm not a lump on the log anymore, but I'm not undoing the damage that I did before. I'm not getting ahead. So it took a while to figure this out. Now, originally, I tried to do the brute force method, which means like, hey, just do what I'm doing, but do more of it, right? Just more deals, more this, more that. And if you've done anything in life, you realize that the brute force method has its limitations, meaning you can only kind of do it for a short amount of time, either because the technique doesn't hold up or you burn out. And I've actually had both happen. Again, that's why I quit in the first place. Well, I didn't burn out, but I felt the burnout coming, and I was just like, I'm over this whole thing, and just doing more just doesn't work. It doesn't give me that freedom I want. I don't know about you, but I got in the land investing to get my freedom back, to have more money and more time. I didn't want to get into this to have a second 9 to 5 job when I was still working, or to give myself a 9 to 5 job that doesn't have the benefits and the vacation and all that that you get normally. So I'm like, okay, the brute force method of doing more isn't going to work. However, my mindset was still there. It was still at that brute force method. So the first thing that I had to do to scale my business was to change my mindset. Now, what does that mean? Well, first, it's kind of what I just said. I had to recognize the fact I was treading water. If you had this, if this was a basketball game, it's kind of like being down 15 points. And yeah, now I'm starting to score more, but I'm also letting the other team score on me. So now we're just trading baskets, right? So I score two, they score two. I score two, they score two. But as you notice, I'm not closing the gap. I'm still down by 15 points. If I continue to do this, I will lose the game. So the only way for me to win this game is to not only score more points than the other team, but to really prevent them from scoring at all. So even if I don't have a big offensive moment, it doesn't matter if they're not scoring as well. So I had to recognize that, and it was hard to kind of swallow that at first. But then I had to realize, you know what? Yeah, I'm doing better than I'm not that I was before, but I'm not at where I want to be. So that means I get the joy of discovering the work that it gets me over the hump. Now, next, I realized I was going to do this plan to make, I don't know, 30 or something thousand a month. How did I get to that number? Well, first off, I took all of my expenses that I had, my mortgage, grocery bills, electricity, water, all those other things. Um, I also decided, okay, this is how much I want to spend for a different credit card. So I had a personal credit card, I had my business credit card I had to like pay down. And again, I had those bills. So I'm like, okay, when I add everything up and I'm making good payments to those cards, then I can actually, pay this all, down within like, I don't know, 6 to 8 months or so. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good. But to do that, I would need $14,000 up front to buy all the property that I needed at the current rate that I had during the time I made this plan. I don't know about you, but I didn't have $14,000 laying around. Now, back then, using the brute force method, that mindset didn't help me figure out ways to get that money. And then also, even if I didn't, like, I don't want to do it that way. I felt that was just too much effort. And I don't know if the supply of land, in, at least in the area I was the hold up. So now you're starting to think, you like, okay, well, what do you do if the brute force isn't going to help you? I have to start to think bigger. So first off, I realized focusing on my debt and my bills didn't actually motivate me to do more. It kind of brought me down a little bit. Now, maybe you're different. Maybe you can think about those things, stay excited, stay motivated, and hit it hard because maybe that fear of debt crashing down on you or preventing you from doing something else in life is very heavy. Once I started making enough money, I didn't have that fear anymore. So that hunger I had when I first got back into land investing disappeared because I was like, okay, I'm cool, I'm chilling, I'm making some money, I have some money in the account, etc. Again, it wasn't enough. So what I decided to do was like, all right, well, I don't need necessarily 14, but I can build up to that. And I don't need to buy a bunch of small plots. I can build up to that as well. Maybe do more with less. So I don't have to hustle so much. I can just make a couple good deals and be done with it. All right. Now, thinking bigger, understanding where I was, and finally understanding that I needed the belief that I could make this happen, that things can change. Up until this point, I was used to doing just small deals, paying 500 here, getting 2,500 there, 600 there, 3,000 there, etc. And that was fine. But when I thought about like, okay, well, what if I have to pay 5,000 for a lot, 8,000 for a lot? Could I do that? Those thoughts started to scare me back then. I was afraid to actually take that step. Why? Illogical fear. It would have been the same process, the same thing. It's just the money is different. Not even the money, just the amounts that I'm playing with is different. But everything else would have been the same. Um, what scared me back then? Well, I had to admit, I had some. I thought I got rid of all my broken mindset about money. I didn't. So once I worked through that, I realized, okay, my mindset's different. I'm understanding to think bigger and I'm gonna do bigger. And I started to get more comfortable with those bigger amounts. I started to be more comfortable with that. I started to be comfortable with the idea that people who are going to buy from me would have that money. So it wouldn't be just like, oh, I got to get it in payments. And I don't know, people are going to be able to afford this. I have to get rid of all those preconceived notions because only I thought about that. The market doesn't care. Maybe the people I was catering to at that time didn't have the money I was looking for, but there's a big ocean out there with different types of markets, different types of buyers, different types of people who are ready to pay cash and to pay cash quickly. So Once I changed my mindset, things start to change for me. Now, before I continue on, is this useful? Are you finding any value in this? Because right now, when I talk about mindset, a lot of people's eyes start to glaze over, people get bored, and they don't understand how important this is. Because without the proper mindset, no matter what you do, you will sabotage yourself. Write that down. I'm going to say it again. Without the proper mindset, no matter what you do, no matter what instruction you get, no matter how much expert advice or bulletproof plan you have, you will self sabotage. You can never, ever, ever out earn your wildest expectations and imagination. So if you always feel deep down that you're only worth to bring in 5,000 a month, I guarantee you that's all you will earn. That's all you'll earn because that's the type of work you'll put in. And if you do get more than that, you'll figure out ways to blow that money. I'm not talking about just on expensive things like Fabergé eggs and hookers. I'm talking about, oh, I have this bill I need to pay. Oh, I have this, I have that. And now you don't have that money to like, number one, get used to seeing that type of money in your account. Number two, having that money to redeploy into the business so you can build to something else. Very important. The mindset had to change. I had to recognize where I was. I had to recognize what I was doing wrong. I had to recognize, you know what? If I'm going to make these changes, if I need to do something different, if I got to scale, I can't do the same shit. If I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to keep getting what I get. You guys following me? That's why I had to, this was the first thing I had to realize because before that, I was treading water and I was kind of happy about it. Because again, I wasn't being a leech on the family. All right. With that said, the second step I had to take to start scaling my business, I had to change my criteria. And what do I mean by that? Well, first, I had to change the areas I researched. Initially, if you looked at my escape velocity training, and as you're in this group, you probably got a copy of that when you first joined, if you gave me your email. If you did not give me your email, shame on you. Now you don't have my escape velocity training. You don't know what I'm talking about, and you just want to deal with it. But I show you how to target places to invest your money in so it actually matches your budget. When I start to think bigger, I had to target different places. Now, initially, again, it was scary. Like, shit, how am I going to afford this? What's going to happen? Is everything still going to work? Of course, it still works. Of course, things work the way they're supposed to work. The escape velocity method, I wouldn't call it bulletproof, but it's pretty damn good. And because of that, only thing that changes again is the amount of dollars that you're playing with. That's the only thing that changes. So once I started to do that, I started to see different areas that I was not exposed to before. Now, does that mean I stopped messing with the areas that got me to where I am, the smaller deals, the nickel and dime deals? No, I did not. However, I changed my emphasis. So I did not shoo away those deals. However, I did only pick those smaller deals that made the most sense. So there are certain small deals that, because of deed restrictions or the area took longer to sell, in the past I would deal with it. Like, oh, it's cool. Eventually I'll get that money back and this and that. And yeah, I don't do that anymore. I'm like, okay, if it's a small area, does it have this criteria? You can write this down. Number one, for the small areas to make things easier for me, there can't be any deed restrictions. If there are deed restrictions, then it's going to be too hard to sell quickly. Number two, are there plentiful stock of land for me to buy so I can sell on? If there's not, it's a waste of my time. All right. So my criteria is changing. Now, what I was focusing more on are areas that are a little bit more expensive. A lot of these more expensive areas may have had an HOA or a POA, property owner association or homeowner association. Now, usually why that kind of attracted me is because I knew the people at the HOA or who lived in HOA, they had a little bit more money. They cared more about their property. They didn't want to do the, hey, I want to live in an RV on my property. They want to build a home on it. Those are the people who had access to more financing. Those are the people who had access to more money in general and who understood how these things work. And they weren't just looking for the cheapest lot they can find. They wanted something a little nicer, a little more premium. So I started to look in HOAs. Now, did I look at HOAs on purpose? No, I just didn't. I wasn't opposed to them. When I was doing the small deals, no HOAs. I can't do both. It's either HOA and it's expensive. I couldn't do it. But now that I'm looking for more premium, HOAs were welcome. Of course, I'd rather a place without HOAs. The less restrictions, the better. So that also means like if I can get a bigger lot without the restrictions, without the HOA, that will fit into my criteria of thinking bigger, lots that are worth more that I can get. I may have to pay a little bit more for, but I'm getting a lot more in return, getting bigger payday, so to speak. Also, when I was doing my research before, as I changed my criteria, when I was doing those low dollar deals, playing in the kiddie pool, I had to see like, okay, this area, this other area here, I can't afford right now. I had to go back. I'm like, okay, well, let me revisit those areas. Number one, was it true I couldn't afford it back then? And number two, is it something to worth, or is it worth looking into now? Some of those answers, sometimes it was yes, like yes, it is worth looking into now. So now I had different areas that I had earmarked that I can start to send offers to, start to understand the market a little bit better, start to dig deep into different subdivisions as opposed to just looking at the county as a whole or the town as a whole. I'm digging deep into different subdivision and neighborhoods. I said it before and I say it again. In one town, you have an expensive part and you have a very cheap part. You know, I was always playing in the cheap areas, cheap seats. Now I'm going to the more expensive areas. So looking at that, digging deeper into that, changing my mindset about that, it's starting to help. And now when I'm thinking about going back to those lower dollar areas, it's not as appealing anymore. Before it used to be appealing because it was easy money. Now it's like, well, it's not going to be worth my time. Sure, I might make $2,000 on the sale, as in like profit, but I want to make eight. I want to make 10. You know, I don't want to have to work hard. I don't want to have to answer questions to people who aren't that serious. I only want to talk to more serious buyers. So changing my criteria helped me do all of that. Now, are you guys liking this? So far, is this making any sense? Comment below whether you're watching live, whether you're watching a replay. If I'm saying to you right now, what I'm laying down is making sense, whether it's changing the mindset, believing you can do it, and understanding where you are and fixing that and understanding you keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting what you get. First, and then second was changing the criteria of what you're looking for, how you're looking for it, and what type of people you're expected to deal with. Making sense, say so in the comments. Let me know if this is useful for you so I can give you more shit that's going to help you scale your business or whatever you need to do in this land investing thing. Now, third step, third step, I had to change my methods. So first I changed my mindset, then I changed my criteria. Now I'm changing my methods. This is a personal one for me. This was part of changing my method. Before I had to get a lot more organized. Now you may be more organized than I am. Great, good for you. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. Keep that up. I wasn't as organized as I needed to be if I was going to play with more money. Now, what does that mean by organization? Well, number one, organizing the different people I needed to contact and follow up with and actually understand what needed to be done to facilitate a deal. Organizing how much money I'm bringing in per deal. Organizing how much I'm spending on mailers and text messages and how much I'm spending on different services and things like that. So I actually know how much I actually have to play with versus thinking, well, I just made a sale for 5,000. I have all five. No, I don't have all 5,000. I have to pay for other expenses. So getting myself better organized and setting up a dashboard in that organizational effort. Was a dashboard basically like a website or a web page, or it doesn't got to be online or anything like that, but it's just something that you can easily refer to see your current numbers, how much you're brought in for the week or the month, depending on what you want to do, how many leads you've talked to, how many said yes, how many said no, what areas, whatever is going to help you make informed decisions on your business. It's called getting organized. So that's one of my methods I had to change. And it helps. Now, there's a lot more information I still should be looking at to make these decisions. But in general, I'm more organized and it's making it easier to say yes or no to deals, to understand what I'm doing is effective or not, things like that. Next, I had to realize I had to plan my way out. Brute forcing wasn't the plan. Figuring out how to do these things was going to be the plan. Now, I tried to plan before, as I said, fairly, okay, if I have $14,000 to spend, I can buy enough property to actually make 30,000 and then pay my bills and have enough to have that 14,000 so I can watch, rinse, repeat. The decent plan, but again, it wasn't realistic because a lot of things were out of my control and I was making a lot of assumptions. Now, sometimes you got to make assumptions, but I feel I made a little too many, one too many. So how do I plan? Well, I had to change how I saw the different investments were there. I had to change how many I was actually going for, or how many small lots I was going for versus big lots. I had to change how much I was expecting to make per deal and then adjust accordingly. So I had to plan around that and understand how much I was getting and then have different buckets of cash even to do the things I needed to do, be it pay for the bills, pay for whatever. So it all has to be planned. Now, does it got to be a meticulous plan? No. You can overplan, but it had to be enough where I had a game plan, I knew how to execute it, And I have to understand if I'm actually on track to execute that game plan or not. So what else? What was next? Well, once I started planning, I realized there are certain things I didn't want in this business. Number one, I didn't want to work too hard. I mentioned this earlier, but as I said before, I didn't get into this business to work hella hard and give myself an extra job. I didn't want to spend all my time land investing. I got into it to get more free time. So I realized, okay, I can't work too hard. I can't, well, I mean, I could work too hard. And I didn't want to have to like really have to just focus so much on the details because it's so many parts. I want it to be smaller amount of deals, but more bang for my buck. That guided me to start to target the things I start to target. So instead of just incrementally changing, I started changing other things. Now, how did I get the capital to do that? Well, I had to do things for free for a little while. I also had to, sacrifice on a couple of bills, taking a risk that, hey, if I don't pay this or pay the same amount that I would normally, I will have a little bit more to afford a couple of lots that I'm really eyeing right now. Some of you guys may not be able to do that. So if you can't, that's unrealistic, that's fine. There's other things you can do. For example, you can find another investor to put in with you. Now, if you're going to get another investor, make sure you're going for a lot that's a lot more than just an extra $3,000. Like if you're normally looking for lots you're retailing for $3,000-$4,000, look for a lot that's going to retail for 20. All right, get some investors involved. So if it's looking for 20, that means you're going to be spending about $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in that lot. Get some other investors involved to help you pay for that. Give them a good, generous portion. Like I'm actually going through something right now, and I'm actually going to talk more about that next week. I get 55%, the investor gets 45, but I do the work, they put up the money. So I don't have any money out of my pocket in this deal. Something like that can work very well if you don't have the cash and if you can't afford to hoard a little bit more money and not let bills kind of slip for one pay period, or not even slip, but just kind of pay less on them or whatever. So there's that, and you might be able to borrow money from a friend or family member to help you pay the bill as you keep more money in your business. Or, maybe a cash advance on your credit card, which can have very high interest fees if you're not careful. But the point is, there's a lot of ways to kind of get that capital you need so you can actually get something bigger to kind of kickstart yourself into the bigger deals. So that was a big one right there. Just getting the capital and understanding that what I had to do and be in problem solving mode as opposed to like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I don't have this money. Now, with that, to get the deals I was eyeing, I had to change my mailing schedule. Before, I was kind of inconsistent. I would mail when I needed to, and then when I didn't need to, I'll focus. I will focus on the acquisition for a while, get a bunch of land, focus on the sales. Acquisition, sales. To make the income I needed and to keep the momentum going, I had to be more consistent with the acquisition. I also have to be more consistent with sales. Now, the acquisition part is very easy for me. This is why I talk about it a lot, because I think it's easy for everybody, to be honest. You just got to stick with it. But I talk about it a lot because it's so easy, and it helps you realize how anybody can jump into this business. The sales part is a little bit different. Now, it is still easy if you get the right land, if you do the things I show you, you do the investment part, you do the training part, you do the research part, all that. It makes it easy. But you still need to develop the skill. Luckily, the skills for sales will actually help translate to you getting more property for less price. But the point is, I had to be able to understand that I had to change my schedule for mailing so I can sell more, meaning more constant coming in and then getting better at constantly selling, always having an inventory, always having something to sell, because somebody may come in for one property, they realize it's not for them. Like, hey, but you know what? I got another one in the same town, the same county, that they're like, hey, I like that. I want that. I'm going to do it. So far, this is making sense. It's making sense. Okay, good. Next, I had to also make sure I got better with the mailer. So better copy on the little postcards, better offer, so people are more inclined to talk to me. And I had to make things extremely easy for the end seller if they did decide to sell to me. Why? That helps me be more efficient. So instead of sending out 100 letters and maybe getting one or two deals, or potential one or two deals, I'm sending 100 letters and maybe getting 4 or 5. So I'm doubling the amount of opportunity I have. Now, let's just say before I can sell those lots for 5,000 a piece, and I'll only get 2 per mailing or 2 per 100. So that's 1,000. That's 10,000. Not bad. But I'm looking to get 20 to 30, I'm gonna need to get a lot more deals. I'm gonna need to get 6. I need to get 8. Some are going to be more expensive, some are not. Some are going to be easily transferred, or sometimes the title is going to be easy to transfer. Sometimes it's going to take time. There's a lot of back and forth, and I got to call different people. So understanding that is going to help. Like right now, I'm going through some things that I thought was going to make it a quick, easy transfer, but it's slowing things down. Dealing with smaller counties, you're dealing with people who are just slower. You know, it is what it is. And you can't just be tied up like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This person take forever and I can't make a sale until I have it transferred. So having more opportunities and more deals and things like that will help mitigate those damages. And the last thing, I had to refine my sales technique, being better on the phone, being better when I advertise, being in more places, understanding that certain platforms like Facebook Marketplace, for example, is going to have a certain type of buyer that wants just cheaper lots versus like a landsofamerica.com, who you can easily have more expensive lots and get a lot of qualified leads coming in. Also following up with people who have inquired about your property and being better with that, figuring out, you know, the best ways to be warm and approachable while also holding their feet to the fire. It's like, hey, yes or no, you want this or not? Did you check it out? Did you see it? What is it going to take for you to make a decision? So things like that is all the different things that helped me scale, right? So in general, it was understanding the mindset, getting better with that, changing the criteria of what I'm looking for, and then actually changing my methods. And the method change was just being better at what I did and making sure I was more consistent and more organized. So it wasn't like a radical shift, but it was enough for me to see that where I was falling short. So far, running out of time. Have those 3 steps been valuable? Can you see how you can start to scale your business by making some small adjustments, small tweaks, and it all starts with your mindset? Let me know in the comments below whether yes or no. I'm always glad to hear it. Now, I have a little bit of time, so I'm going to show you guys some of my bonus, not some of my bonus, like my bonus step. And my last thing I did to help me scale, and this is very important. It might be the most important thing, but it doesn't come into play until I take care of those other 3 things I talked about. Changing my environment. I'm a big proponent of masterminds and groups and just being around like-minded individuals. And before I did that, and I tried to do everything alone in my own little silo, is when I found myself treading water. Is when I found myself trading baskets with the other team and not cutting into their lead. When I'm with other people, number one, I see people's different attitudes about money, especially when they have a lot more of it than I do. And I thought I was pretty good at money, but the way they just see things, it's just, oh my God, it's so inspiring. I learn from them. I see different techniques on how to mail or what to mail or how to make an offer or how to talk to this person on the phone. Some of the techniques I will use. Other techniques makes me really glad that I have what I have and I can share my wisdom with them. But in general, I'm learning different things. I'm seeing things from different perspectives that before I used to like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's stupid. So now I'm like, oh, I understand. And now that I understand it from that perspective, maybe I can see how that can work for me. Interesting, right? So now my mind is open up to different possibilities. Also, changing different business models. As in, I see some people invest in land so they can develop. Others invest in land to do what I do. Others invest in land for passive income. Others, they probably have their own reasons. Seeing these different ideas opens my mind up to different possibilities that I can have. Maybe they don't make sense for me at the moment, but they will later. And then a lot of things that I see from other people, they help me challenge my own ideas. Like I'm still very against title companies. I'm going through it now because how slow one is, but I can see the benefit of having a title company. I still rather not, but I definitely see the benefit. I see the benefit of terms deals. I'd much rather a cash sale, but I can see how a terms deal can really help and probably help you with taxes in certain ways. So I can also see different ways of how you can get financing or find different areas to invest in, or just how to solve problems in a way that I don't normally do it. When you change your environment, being around other people that are in this business who are doing well, whether they're better than you or not, you start to see things in a way that helps you understand the big picture. They get you out of the mire, the muck, and the mess, and start to kind of raise above all that, like, oh, that's right. That way you don't lose focus. All right. That was my bonus one right there. That was, again, very important. But again, without the first 3, change your environment doesn't do as much. Doesn't do as much. So are you guys finding this useful? Is this something that you guys can find beneficial that you can start to implement, even if you're not ready to scale yet, but you can understand the process that needs to happen? Maybe you're scaling from 0 deals to 1, or from 1 deal to 3 per month, or whatever it is. Well, hopefully you found this useful. Now, what do I need from you right now? Well, as always, the information is on me. The implementation is on you. So if you're up to it, let me know how you're planning to scale your business. Now, I'm talking about in 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, or next year. I'm talking about right now. No matter what you are doing, there is a way that you can scale and do it more, do it better, do it faster, be more efficient so you can actually take in more. Maybe you need to be more organized. Maybe you need to get out more mailers. Maybe you need to find a different area that's actually be more receptive to you so you can actually do more. In the comments below, whether you're watching live or the replay, let me know what you're going to do to scale. This does nothing to just listen to it and take some notes. You got to apply. Again, the knowledge is on me. The information is on me. The application is on you. So make sure you're putting that stuff to work. All right. So that's my ask. Just, hey, let me know what you're doing, how you're going to plan to use this information. And if you found this useful, let me know. I had to gloss over a lot of stuff for the sake of time, but from all 3 different things that I implemented to scale my business, I can talk about for a long time. So if any of those topics that interest you, you want to hear more about, let me know. We can do that. But other than that, it's your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor. Glad to be here with you. Glad to share this information. Hopefully you found it useful. Until next time, you guys, let's keep making money. All right. Peace out.